Hey guys, my name is Devonte and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. So, outright, I'll just say it straight up. I completely understand that I'm not what professional wrestling is trying to appeal to today. Demographically speaking, yes, I am in that age group, that coveted 18 to 49 demographic, but I mean stylistically as far as what I care about in my professional wrestling, I understand that professional wrestling has passed me by. I understand that generationally speaking, even though within the demographic I am that target demographic. I'm like right there in the middle. Generationally speaking, as far as culture is considered, I'm not in that demographic. You get what I'm saying? I understand that I'm a generation removed from what professional wrestling cares for as far as what they feel, as I said before, stylistically, what they should be appealing to currently today. But I'm not asking professional wrestling. I'm not asking professional wrestlers. I'm not asking bookers, promoters to appeal to my wants. I'm asking you to appeal to an overall broad and an overall need in professional wrestling. How long have I harped on the fact that professional wrestling and its lack of storytelling in itself is the number one problem in professional wrestling today? Not social media, not the actual product in itself as far as being mature or anything like that. It's the actual story in itself that is lacking. And with the lack of story, it lacks depth within characters who can't get over and they can't relate to the average wrestling fan. You have people who have certain favorites based off of the things they do in the ring, never mind the actual cultivation of relationship based off of what they bring to the table as far as relating to the characters overall. That's my main problem. I want to bring this up to you guys real quick and I want to give you a perfect example of what I mean by this, because I kind of touched on this last night, and I'm not going to put the guy's name out there. You'll probably find him. Unfortunately, again, my channel isn't nowhere near as big as my Millennial Smart channel, so it's rather easy to kind of sort through the comments to see the video that I'm talking about and seeing the guy's comment. I don't mean to put him on blast, but he's a perfect example as to what I mean when I say, like, hey, the professional wrestling fan today, they just don't care about the things that matter. And when you don't care for these things, you get bored of it really, really quickly. So I'm not going to say the guy's name, even though I'm pretty sure you're going to find out who he is if you just take 2 seconds to look through my videos. But I'm sorry, just saying, bro. I'm not going to put your name out there, though, but people will probably find you. He says, and I want to kind of relate this to you guys. That's because I made a point on the on one of my videos where I discussed story being a reason why story being the appeal, story being the draw, and you doing certain things as far as positioning your championship on the card or doing things in relationship to your championship. It's nothing more than a hot fix. It's not something that's going to be long term. You're just doing something short term. It's the equivalent of living paycheck to paycheck. But never mind. His comment says, that's where they got you fooled, my man. This is in reference to that. They are actually doing something new, not on a need to already know basis, and it connects to the main event. You really have an old mind, do you? That's what he's saying to me. And maybe I came off a little bit harsh, and maybe I should start being a little bit more softer in my rhetoric, because I feel like when I go into these conversations and I talk to people, in the end of the day, I can be funny and I can joke and I can do all this stuff, but in the end of the day, the point of my videos is to get conversations started that people don't want to discuss because they care so much about their subscribers and their base and their money, and they feel when they say certain things about professional wrestling that, because you have professional wrestling fans nowadays who are weird like that, who would take it as if you're attacking them personally, whether you're talking about the wrestler, whether you're talking about the brand, the promotion in itself. They feel like you're attacking them when you attack the promotion or the wrestler, when in reality you're not trying to discredit anything that the wrestler is doing from an accomplishment standpoint. You're just saying what they're currently doing at the moment is lackluster, and it's not going to end well for them long term if they want to put themselves into a position to be remembered going forward, and for the company or for the show to actually get over with a wide base and they can be actually exposed to other people and be a legitimate alternative to the WWE brand, and for WWE to be a legitimate alternative to pop culture as a whole like it used to be. Never mind though, I responded with, completely disagree. You don't even know where I'm getting at. I don't want to see something touched on here, forgotten about, and reappearing in the main event. I want cohesive linear storytelling with a theme throughout the night, with the main event being the conclusion. That's not an old person's mindset. That's called a TV show. Imagine reading a 39 chapter book called MJF with him as the cover art, and you only read about him in chapter 1 and chapter 39. Only in wrestling today does that happen, and of course wrestling fans, in particular young wrestling fans, because you guys mark out for simple shit done 25 million times 20 years ago, let them get away with it. Yet have a million excuses as to why wrestling isn't attracting mainstream attention. Probably weren't even born or consciously aware enough when wrestling was pop culture. And it's like, and yeah, maybe I'm tooting my own horn here, but you tell me, where am I lying at? Where let's quote CM Punk, where are the lies? Tell me where I'm lying. Tell me when I'm lying. Where am I lying at? That's what I'm talking about right there. You have professional wrestling fans, and I feel as if they do this as a defense mechanism, because in reality they're projecting their own insecurities in regards to how they themselves feel as a fan in this environment, and hearing other fans, gish and, just reminisce and talk about all these things that were super duper cool back then. And in a weird way, it sounds weird when I say it, because you're like, oh, Devontae, is this professional wrestling? But no, I really truly feel sometimes when I hear younger professional wrestling fans, come at us or me or somebody when talking about this, about a promotion, or coming at me when talking about this in regards to professional wrestling, I think they get jealous. It sounds weird as fuck, right? But I truly believe they get jealous when we go on and on and on about the good old days, whether you're talking about the Hogan era, or you're talking about the Attitude era, or you're talking about the Ruthless Aggression era. They really get pissed off when you talk about these things, because they're just like, well, look, I'm here right now. I'm not here to be nostalgic with you or reminisce on good times that you actually went through. We're not here to share these same feelings. We're not here to share these same thoughts. And I would like it if you can stop, because in the end of the day, yes, we don't have the things that you guys had back in the days. Yes, we don't have the popularity like you guys had the popularity back then. Yes, it was a lot more fun to be a professional wrestling fan nowadays, but I don't want to hear things that I can never be within. I don't want to hear things that I can never be a part of. And the more and more you talk about it, the more and more I get pissed off, because I have this right here, and yeah, you have this right here, but you're not here to talk about the thing that's currently happening. That's why I say all the time about the me generation. It's all about me. They never take anything else into context in regards to anybody else's position. And professional wrestling suffers for that. And it leads to very, I don't want to say nonsensical, but it leads to people from an older generation who feels as if in order to appeal to these people, and I'm not going to say it's specifically from monetary positions, but I think it's more so to fit in, because I'm not trying to fit in. I think certain people who are in my position are also not trying to fit in. We're trying to tell you the truth so we can come together and try to find an appropriate approach to go forward as far as giving our criticisms of professional wrestling, so hopefully people in the higher up positions can take heed to what we're talking about and implement it within professional wrestling, so we can actually get to a spot in professional wrestling in the past where it was actually fun to watch. And I feel you have the older generation who feels that they try to appeal to this younger generation just specifically so they can fit in, because in the end of the day, they're not in our position. They're in the business. They're making money already, so they don't care about the things that we're discussing at the moment. They only care about trying to appeal to a certain fan base to get some type of gain out of it. I think personally acceptance, it could be monetary. I don't think it's all the way that personally, but I think it's specifically acceptance. And now you're probably asking yourselves, give me an example of that, Devontae. Can you tell me an example? Can you give me an example? I got a perfect example for you right here. Hang on, I'm pulling it up right now. Hang on, it's loading up. Where did I get this from again? Oh man, I can't remember where I got it from. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think I got it from Wrestling News. Hang on for a second. I apologize, guys. It's coming up right now. Right here. So this is an article that says Conan thinks AEW is overexposing MJF. And I quote, this is coming from Conan, being in 5 different feuds is mega exposure. You should want to wait to see him, Conan stated. He should come out once, maybe twice a show. That is it. Conan continued, you don't need to know, you do not need to be an expert to see that the most charismatic, most over, one of the biggest merch sellers and great on the mic and good to great matches is him. You can't put the company problems on him. He's doing his part. And I'm not here to blame MJF or anything like that. Don't make no mistake about it. I'm not here to blame MJF. But what I am here to blame is that mindset in particular. Because what do you mean by overexposure? No, and I hate when people do this. It's like they take the quantity of how many times someone appears or how many times someone does or the accomplishments based off of the quantity without thinking about the quality. Yeah, you may be seeing MJF in 5 different feuds, but how many times a night do you actually see MJF? You do not see him that many times. See, it's funny that he says, oh, you need to see him only once or twice. That's the problem. You only see him once or twice a show. You don't see him more times a day. I don't know what he's talking about in regards to saying you see him more than once, because you don't. You don't. You may see him more than once in regards to a given week, but that's when I come right back to the quantity. The quantity doesn't matter, it's the quality. Because you see MJF on television for about 5 minutes and 1 or 2 segments on 2 or 3 different shows, that does not cut the mustard. What you do need to see is MJF overexposed. You do need to see MJF in a position where he is overexposed completely around that television, around that show, because that's where the draw is going to be. If he is in that position where he's that quality of a competitor, if he's that in position where he's that quality of a wrestler, then it shouldn't matter whether or not he's overexposed, because all television shows, when you think about it, is overexposing the star character, and people come to see the star character. It's as if we forget that professional wrestling overall is a television show. That's what you're forgetting. No different than when you watch The Walking Dead. No different than when you watch Breaking Bad. No different than when you're watching a cartoon show or a movie or whatever the case may be. Is the star of the show considered overexposed? No, that's a ludicrous idea. You just say overexposed because the thing that the person is currently doing at the moment fucking sucks. And when something sucks, that's when you start getting that overwhelming feeling of just saying just nonsensical bullshit that makes absolutely no sense when you take things into context and you try to look at it on a comparison basis, right? Because in the end of the day, no matter what these marks want to tell you, professional wrestling is a television show. Professional wrestling is a variety television show. Professional wrestling is about as close as you can get to an athletic SNL that you could possibly get to. And we forget this all the time. We really, really need to remember that. MJF needs to be more exposed. That championship belt around his waist needs to be more exposed. And the thing is, he needs to be in more quality type of things. Don't put him in 5 different feuds where all these 5 different feuds fucking suck. I don't give a shit about the stuff that he's doing with Jay White. It sucks. His feud with Jay White sucks. It's all about a championship belt that was stolen that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Then you got these ninja stuff. It fucking sucks. I don't even know what the hell's going on with that. I'm surprised they even came back to remember, because for a few weeks they forgot all about the goddamn storyline. It's as if they're kind of, living on a prayer and hanging by the seat of their pants when it comes to this storyline right here. Oh, don't get me twisted with the Samoa Joe stuff currently at the moment. Oh, and don't forget the stuff that happened with Wardlow. None of these things are quality. That's the problem. And he's not overexposed in any of these manners. How do I know? Because each competitor that he's currently feuding right now with outside of Jay White, they themselves aren't being exposed more. Like, it's like the whole saying, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. A bunch of weak men surrounding me rather than 4 really, really tough guys who can handle their business. I don't want to see MJF in a bunch of different feuds where none of them actually matter, and you're taking time away from each feud and actually giving it some quality to it. Let him focus on one feud. Let him get over that feud. Preferably someone who actually has heat with him. Someone who has actually legitimate history with him. In reality, you shouldn't be focusing on Jay White. You should be focusing currently right now on building up Wardlow, and that should be your main event program. That is what you should be focusing on right now. You got a Shawn Michaels Diesel on your hands. You have a Shawn Michaels Sid Vicious situation on your hands. And you're going to throw it all away to overexpose, quote unquote, MJF by putting him in other different feuds and showing them one time and then telling me that he's over. That's not overexposed. That's not overexposed. Showing him for 30 seconds on a given minute and different segments 5 times a night with other people is not overexposed. That's underexposure. Especially when he doesn't even have the world championship around his waist and his shitty feud that's around Jay White's waist. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, but that's the problem. And that's where I think we're getting at right now, is that people just ignore quality for everything and they make excuses so much. It's like, how many times do I make mistakes in my life without actually taking the bull by its horns and recognizing that maybe if I just do this one thing that's quality, maybe if I do this one thing that's really, really good, it can erase all 5 of these small problems, step by step, little by little, rather than just rushing into things, because we live in a society, we live in a generation right now that's running the market that is impatient as absolute fuck. They can't see anything through. They have to actually, you look at television shows nowadays on Netflix, and everything has to be a binge watch, for an example. Remember episodic television where you could sit around a water cooler and talk to your friends or co-workers and say, man, this show was awesome, I can't wait to see next week. It was the quality of the actual television show that got you to want to see the show next week. Not binge watching something, getting it over with, and then the show just goes out of your head as soon as you actually are done watching the entire season, rather than watching it episodic and letting everything soak in. And then when you get to the next episode, you do the same thing, and then that goes on for about 3 months till the new season starts. That's how a show gets over as the greatest of all time. It's like the equivalent of just going paycheck to paycheck rather than just saving up your money, seeing what you have, balancing out your books, and making everything worthwhile when you get to that point when you actually hit that marquee number that you really want to have in order to get the good things in life, rather than going paycheck to paycheck or leasing things or paying your bills on the fly, or, you know, going directly to credit. It's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating, because it's like this whole Generation Z in particular, and even some younger millennials, have this horrible mindset, and people are, you know, they're giving it credibility because they want to fit in so badly, and it's like no one is recognizing anything. You have the younger generation who feels that they need it now and they're gonna have it now, and no one's gonna tell them anything as to why they can't have it now. And then you have the older adults who, yeah, well, I want to fit in so badly with these kids, and I want to appeal to these kids so badly because for whatever reason, I don't know what you're trying to get out of it, I need to get this thing. And we all suffer for it in the end of the day. And it gets to a point where you run through so many things because of the procrastination, because of the quantity over the quality, that you run out of ideas, and then you get remakes, and then you get rehashes, then you get rematches. That's throughout pop culture in general. Man, I'm telling you, man, if we're gonna sit back for 2 seconds and actually recognize to ourselves that there is more to professional wrestling, there is more to society, there's more to pop culture, there's more to life, outside of just constantly having to get your self-gratification confirmed on a whim at every given moment. If you sat back and you thought these things out, and then you actually waited it out, and then you built up to it over and over and over again until you get to the conclusion and you actually seen it through and you see the final product, that's when it becomes memorable. That's when it becomes self-sustained in regards of its legacy. That's when something at that moment becomes legendary. But I don't see where we go from here. Not with this mindset, not with this mentality. Not just from the younger fans, but from the older fans who, like I said, man, they give it credibility. What can I say? But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know how you felt about the commentary today. I'm very curious to get some opinions. I haven't done any kind of video like this in a while. I used to do this a lot in my on my own Millennial Smart channel. Forgot what I used to call it, but you know, I'm gonna start doing more videos like this, trying to give my thoughts and reasoning in regards to where the professional wrestling business is going forward at the moment from an ideological standpoint, because I feel like no one is actually going out of the way to discuss things like this. I feel as if we're just kind of looking at things on a surface level rather than looking at the underlying thing that's currently, you know, harming professional wrestling. And if we can't get that, if we can't get it from the roots, then no matter how much you mow, the weeds are still gonna grow. As always, my name is Millennial Smirk. Whoo, that was a botch. As always, my name is Devontae. Let me say that over again. Holy crap, got me in that mindset. I'll talk to you guys later. Deuces, P. Ice.